We're just file again. If it wasn't for this matter, we'd probably be filing next week. But now we're adjusting it a little bit more, and adjusting to this matter, we'll probably file in about 2 or 3 weeks.
So you applied to have direct access to the Constitutional Court. That was not successful, but you're going to try and go all the way up, if necessary, to the Con Court.
Indeed. It's quite rare for direct access to be granted, but one of the other big housing cases was granted direct access, so we thought it was worth a try.
So this case failed. What does it mean for your case?
It means that we have to take this into account when we go for our case. We think this case is decided wrong, but it also raises some interesting issues that we can deal with in our case as well.
Like?
For example, it said that perhaps the thing should be decided by the legislature, not the courts, right? But if the judge was saying that, he said it was like a blow to the stomach to see a property sold for 90% off. Yeah. But he didn't seem to think it was his job to stop people being hit in the stomach. So what he basically said was maybe the legislature should be the one that deals with this, that should be fixing it. If he's thought that, then what he should have done is he should have granted an order saying to the legislature, saying to the Minister of Justice, pass legislation to fix this problem, to stop properties being sold for 90%. Because the Minister of Justice said that he would abide by the decision of the court. And speaking to people at the Ministry of Justice, they seem quite open to the idea of changing the legislation on this to make it better.
And this would ensure that there's a reserve price, so you cannot sell a house worth hundreds of thousands or millions for a pittance, for R1. Right now it could go for R1.
R1, and it sometimes does, 10 rand, 100 rand, 500 rand for houses worth $1 million, 500,000. It's shocking that the judge didn't grasp the essence of the thing and say this must stop and find a way to make it stop within his jurisdiction.
The court said other things, though, that it was convinced that there are reasons why these houses are sold sometimes for almost nothing. For example, the previous people may have got huge debts on rates and taxes, and the new buyer has to deal with that. So there are special circumstances. Yeah,
which has now been fixed by the new rules in December that we've been campaigning for a long time. So nowadays the bank has to come with the rates and taxes certificate to say, so that the buyer knows, and that's a huge improvement on what it was like before.
So the buyer at least knows what he's in for.
Yeah, but the court was wrong to say that made the rules not constitutional. That made the old rules unconstitutional, and they said no, that means a reason why they were constitutional. No, a reason why they were also unconstitutional.
The banks also say this is an absolute last resort. They have these sale programs. They try and help people sell. I do believe that to some extent, because it must be better to get a high sale price and get your money back than get a low sale price and try and chase somebody who owes you money but now has no house even.
You would think, but most of the time the banks do. We see hundreds of cases every year where the bank has not sold as a last resort. However, in this case, I think the bank did. I like the way they approached it in this case, because what they said is, even after the judgment, they said, we'll sell your house through an estate agent, let's agree. And only because the gentleman's wife didn't agree with him, that wasn't done. But that approach is absolutely what we've been saying the bank should be doing for a long time. So it's something to Standard Bank's credit that it actually tried so hard in this case. So maybe in this case it was a last resort. Most cases it's not.
Well, you've done the research. Are the banks not changing their behaviour? I mean, they want to avoid negative publicity.
I think they are a bit. I think this campaign and the press they're getting here and elsewhere is making them think, maybe we should change our ways. But we need to establish that in new laws. We can't just trust them to do the right thing, because banks are not inclined to do the right thing.
Yeah. All right. So are you positive? Tell me what's next. How this will change your argument. Where to from now?
Okay. First of all, it tells us. First of all, it's not over. This doesn't mean the thing's over. We're going to come with our case. There may be others that come with their cases. That's the first thing. Secondly, we'll take all this into account and we'll bring different arguments to say this is why we don't think this is right, and we'll prove everything. A lot of what the judge said was, he said it wasn't argued before me that a reserve price will lead to higher prices, and there's something in that, because more needs to change than just a reserve price. We also need to drop the deposit that you have to put down to bid at an auction. At the moment, if you want to bid on a R1 million house, you're going to put down 100,000 rand. Now, who can do that? It should be 10,000 rand or even 1,000 rand to bid on a property. It shouldn't be these vast figures, and that would mean there'd be 100 times more bidders. I mean, we have private auctions in this country that work perfectly. If we just took that private auction system, and moved it to the sheriff's auction system with new rules, then we'd be getting higher prices. So it's not just a reserve price. We do need that. And Standard Bank's argument was not right in that case with respect to that. Reserve prices would certainly lead to higher average prices, and no question that it would. But it wasn't argued, it wasn't proven that that was the case. We will argue that in our case and make sure that the judge is very, very clear that reserve prices, plus the other things we want to be changed, lead to higher prices.